I'm talking about relationships with spirit guides today. That's the topic. Relationships with spirit guides. And it's something that you don't often think that you can do, but you can. And I learned this from my teacher and mentor, Sonia Choquette, who's written about 19 or 20 books on the topic. I was in a workshop with her in Chicago, and she said, you're working with the spirit guides, and they're delivering, they're helping you, they're guiding you, they're supporting you, they're giving you great information, you're making decisions based on their guidance. Don't forget to thank them and to acknowledge their presence. And in doing so, you'll be able to create a relationship. And when you have a relationship, just like when you have relationships with people, you're closer, you can talk about more, they understand you better, they'll call you back quicker. How many times have you not picked up the phone because you don't know who's on the other end? You don't have a relationship with them. So it's the same, in the spirit world. You can create relationships, particularly with your ever-present guides. This might be a guide that is in your inner circle that's going to be with you on the whole journey. There's lots of guides that just come in and out. And you can have relationships with them too, even if it's project-oriented. Like, for example, you might be thinking about writing a book, and so you call into you a spirit guide that can help you with that project. And this guide starts dropping feathers everywhere where you happen to be thinking about what you're going to write or how you're going to produce your book. It just seems to magically happen. And of course, there's no magic about it. They're present and they're connected to you. And then you might recognize that as a pattern. Say, wait a second, every single time I'm thinking about this project, I look down or I look over or I open a book and I see a feather. And so this is how you can identify that particular guide. And there's other ways as well. If you've been listening to the series on spirit guides, we've talked a lot about it. But just give you a couple of examples quickly. A friend of mine has a spirit guide who happens to be a relative of hers. Now, relatives aren't usually spirit guides. They're spirits, they're present, but they also use this same way of staying in touch. And in her case, this particular spirit leaves dimes, 10 cents, dimes everywhere, particularly related to issues that are familial, about family. For example, maybe she was going to her daughter's bridal shower and really wished that this person could attend and was really missing this person. And suddenly a dime shows up on the dining room table where the spread's going to be for after the bridal shower. Things like that. She'll be walking down the street. It's always a dime. It's never anything but a dime. Right? So this was confirmed as the sign between this person and this particular spirit guide. For me, I have many spirit guides that I work with, but there's one in particular that I discovered when I decided to become a professional intuitive, and I started studying with and training with other people. As I became more able to communicate with the spirit realm, they were more able to capture my attention and communicate with me. And this particular guide, who's been with me from a past life, from a very long time ago, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years ago, sends me ladybugs. I know, I'm laughing because the first time it happened, I couldn't believe it. You're in a hotel room in Chicago in February. There isn't anything moving around but people. And there is a beautiful, bright ladybug, waiting for me on the door before I headed out to my next workshop on advanced training with spirit guides. And I had been seeing them in photographs. There's a movie and they'll talk about ladybugs. This particular week. I went out to dinner with friends. I came out of the restaurant and the only car that was waiting for somebody in front of the restaurant was a Volkswagen Bug painted red with black dots, just like it was a ladybug on wheels, right? So I wasn't paying attention, and so my guide gave me that ladybug so big and so in my face so that I would recognize, oh, that's why I'm seeing the ladybugs. It's real. This is a real conversation and a real relationship. And occasionally I will call upon that guide. I'll say, I haven't heard from you in a really long time. How about a ladybug? I will see one within a day or two in the most bizarre place, usually out of season, out of context. I have lots of ladybug stories like that. I'm about it and share them with you because it's just it's so charming and it's so loving. It's a really wonderful relationship that I have with this particular guide. So the other is you might see numbers. You might see repetitive numbers, and over time there might be a very specific number that is related to a guide that wants you to know that they're present and that they're thinking of you and they're thinking about you, and they feel you thinking about them at the same time. And so they send that symbol. That symbol could show up as a car that pulls in front of you and the license plate's got the number on it. It could be a crank phone call on your phone, like a spam call or a butt call, or a call from someone you don't know, but that number's there. It could be, a number on a receipt for something that you have purchased, but it's the same number. There's no doubt about it. And so once you acknowledge that that's the sign of the symbol, you begin to see it more often, and you can actually communicate through the symbol, knowing that the person's present, and then you can open up whatever it is that you want to have guidance about. So identifying the sign or symbol is really key in being able to create the relationship. There's other ways that you can just be grateful and thankful and establish a relationship that aren't quite so physical, shall we say. And that would be, for example, the ways that I do it is I might create a personal altar just for a guide that has recently me with some guidance or some information, or even just a nudge or some presence. And I might include what are beautiful offerings to me. I might add crystals, fresh flowers. I might burn some Japanese incense. I'll have a candle. I might have a beautiful stone that I've collected from someplace, and of course I ask permission of the stone and Mother Earth if I can take it before I take it from another place in the world. Do the same thing with all my crystals. I have a particular ritual that I use. And so I place those, and then I make it like an offering of gratitude to that particular guide, and I leave it there for quite a while. I have one guide that loves incense. I can feel this presence on my body. Sometimes it feels like the person's even touching me whenever I make this particular offering, and it's a stick of Japanese incense that I use to dedicate to that particular guide. And the stick burns for and the smoke is almost like a call. It has energy. It's purifying. Incense does a lot of wonderful things, and that's one of the ways that you can use it with a relationship with your spirit guide. So the bottom line is you want to acknowledge them regardless of whether or not you establish a relationship. It's like saying thank you to a stranger for holding the door open for you. Or you can thank them with gifts, as I just described. There's several ways that you can do that. Come up with something of your own. And acknowledge, acknowledgement. Everybody wants to be acknowledged for, something that they have helped you with or that they've done, that they're present. Just acknowledge their presence in your life. And then more specifically, you can thank them with gifts. And I remember my teacher, Sonia Choquette, who I studied with, seems like a million years ago now, but it wasn't all that long ago, first introduced us to this idea in this workshop. And she talked about, has a spirit guide who loves chocolate, loves her leaving chocolate at a personal altar. So she would leave a piece of chocolate. And that chocolate would, over time, disappear, and there's nobody else there but her, so there's nobody that would have taken the chocolate. So it's a little wink between her and her spirit guide. She leaves the chocolate, the chocolate disappears. So just like my friend who wishes that the person that she loved that's in spirit form was present, and whenever she does, the person leaves her dimes. In my case, it's Ladybugs. So what's it for you is the question for you. What is it? What will it be for you? So just start paying attention. Might be feathers. It might be a sensation on your body. It could be another thing. Maybe you hear birds. Maybe you smell tobacco. Maybe the sun suddenly comes out and shines right on you when you look around and it's cloudy and raining everywhere. So establishing the relationship is beneficial because, as I said before, it's like establishing a relationship with, a friend. you have a closer relationship. You understand each other better. The way to communicate is almost shorthand. You can practically finish each other's sentences. You know that they're very supportive and they're there for you in good times and in bad. They have your best interest at heart. You know, they've got your back, and they want to be present. Right? There's a presence there. There's a reverence that goes both ways, and a level of respect that goes both ways. And it begins by your acknowledging them, thanking them, identifying with them through some sort of sign and symbol, so that they can have this communication and this relationship with you. You might find that you have lots of spirit guides that you can have relationships with, but I find that most have 2 to 3 that they regularly have a relationship with. There's others that they call in, but they don't establish a big relationship with them, an ongoing presence. So you might actually be going somewhere, and maybe you didn't even ask for guidance, and suddenly you see that feather, and you see that dime, or you see the ladybug, or you see the repeating numbers, and you know, you're reminded that you're supported, and all you have to do is ask for help. Because they don't interfere, you have to ask for the help. And say, hey, I feel your presence here. I see the sign. Yeah, I could use a little help on that. Maybe you can help me with a new idea. Maybe you can help me not feel so anxious. Maybe you can help me with gathering more information so I can make a better decision than I would have made without you. Right? So you can talk to your spirit guides. I talk to mine out loud. I guess people might think, wonder and think I'm crazy and wonder who I'm talking to, but that's how it is. Hey, listen, since the Sony Walkman came out, we don't think people are crazy walking around talking to themselves anymore, do we? I'm old school. I remember before all that, nobody walked around talking to themselves unless you were praying, or you're talking to your guides or something like this. So don't be shy.